Assalamu alaikum. So, if you're a Muslim that is living in the West, inshallah, this video will be beneficial to you. I'm going to be talking about how do you actually commit to making hijrah. So, I grew up myself non-Muslim in the UK. I actually left the West before even being a Muslim, and I was living in Thailand. I then reverted to Islam, alhamdulillah, and I spent months in Malaysia, Egypt, and Indonesia. So, basically, as soon as I became Muslim, I was like, I don't want to live in the West. I want to live in a Muslim majority country. And yeah, alhamdulillah, now I reside in Indonesia properly. So I also help brothers get married and make hijrah to Indonesia. So inshallah, that gives you a bit more context. So this video, what I'm going to do is share some ways that have helped me commit to making hijrah and what I've seen of a lot of other brothers, what actually gets them over the line, what makes them commit. So inshallah, you can do the same. So first thing is going to be talking about your why. So you probably have a general idea of what that means. I'll explain it now. So I don't know anyone that's made hijrah that didn't have a big why, a big driving factor, a big reason as to why they make hijrah. So for some people, this can be a big event happens or a big realization happens, and then they're like, there's no way I can stay here. And then basically straight away they're out. I know loads of brothers like this, like some violence maybe happens, maybe they get in a fight because they're a Muslim, and then they're like, how can I stay here? Maybe something happens to their kids. Like there'll be a lot of the times where their kids are in school and then they're being taught some LGBT stuff, and then they're like, I can't stay here. Then they leave. Something happens to their wife. May Allah protect us all from that, but something may happen to the wife, violence, something along these lines. And then they're like, there's no way I can stay here. And then that triggers them. And then they've got the why. They've got such a strong why that no matter what, it doesn't matter. They're gonna make the move, and then they're gonna figure it out later. They have that driving factor. So yeah, for some people, it can just simply be they're so fed up. They've been going to their job for years. They've just been realizing this is just eroding at my deen, and they're just completely fed up of it. And then one day something happens, and they snap, and they're like, I've had enough. So yeah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and whoever emigrates in the cause of Allah will find on the earth many locations and abundant refuge. And whoever leaves his home as an emigrant to Allah and His Messenger, and then and then death overtakes him, his reward has already become incumbent upon him. And Allah is ever forgiving and merciful. So I just wanted to share that ayah because it's very relevant, and inshallah it can be comforting to anyone wanting to make hijrah. So if you've not made it, 9 times out of 10, your why just isn't big enough. If you've not made hijrah yet, it's likely because your why isn't big enough yet. You may think, I want to make hijrah, but nothing's happened to the point of your wife's just been punched by a racist, your kids have just been taught about LGBT. Something's not happened yet where it's triggered it enough for you to want to make hijrah. So if you do have a big enough why, you would make hijrah, even if it didn't logically make sense, even if everything didn't add up, even if you was just going, you was feeling like this is a bit like this is uncomfortably illogical, but you had the big enough why, you would do it. If your wife's just been punched because she's a Muslim, your kids have just been taught about genders and stuff, your kids just come and said that he wants to be a different gender, something like this, you're going to have a huge why. You're going to do it. You're going to be looking at flights before you're looking at your bank account. You're going to be looking at this stuff. You're going to be trying to make it work no matter what. Like, you wouldn't be sleeping, really. Think about it. You'd be up all night trying to do this. You wouldn't be sitting around watching the World Cup, sitting watching the football. You wouldn't be sort of calm. You wouldn't be in your comfort zone anymore. You would be very urgently acting, and you would be just thinking, how do I make it not work? Not not will I make it work, not should I make it work. You'd be thinking, how can I make it work? And then you would find a way. Allah would open up the way, inshallah. So what is some solutions that I've thought of? Because it's better to obviously list solutions always. List every single benefit. So get some paper, get an iPhone notes, whatever you prefer. List every single benefit that you would gain living in a Muslim country. Just you yourself. What benefits would you gain living in a Muslim country? You'd be praying in the masjid 5 times per day, which most likely you don't if you're in the West. That's 27 times more rewards for congregational prayer. You're getting the rewards from every single step, the erasing of sins from every single step, walking to the masjid, like things like this. Think of all the different benefits you would gain, and then list every benefit that your child and your wife would gain. Or if you don't have them yet, just think your children and your wife in the future, what would they gain from living in a Muslim majority country? Then list all the ways the West is currently harming you, your kids, and your wife. And then list every way the West may harm you in the future. What has not happened yet, but what may happen. Like those examples, your wife gets harassed, you get whatever, jumped, your kids, they get taught things that you don't want. And you could probably spend hours listing these things. So I would highly recommend it. Like genuinely write every single thing you can think of for all of those. And inshallah, it can give you a bit more of that fire, a bit more of that why. So yeah, I'd recommend doing those things. You can just pause the video and do that, or you can save this for later, save this as a task for later. So yeah, and this is a big one for me. It is changing your mindset from a weak fleeing mindset, which is what a lot of people kind of view hijrah as. It's like we're trying to escape the West in a week, and it makes us think this is a weak thing. We're being weak, and our body, like us as a man, we don't want to be weak. So if we have this perception of hijrah as if it's kind of like we're weak, we're running away from the West, whereas if you view it as, okay, I'm going to go and strengthen the ummah, I'm going to go and move to a Muslim majority country, I'm going to go and spend my money amongst Muslims, I'm no longer going to pay tax to the US, I'm no longer going to pay tax to the UK, Canada, all these people that are killing Muslims. I'm going to strengthen the ummah. I'm maybe going to set up a business that supports the ummah. I'm going to move to a Muslim majority country and have an online business which helps Muslims do the same thing. Perhaps maybe you literally go make hijrah, you set up a business helping other brothers make hijrah, things like this. Viewing your mindset more as, okay, I'm going to go and strengthen the ummah by living in a Muslim majority country, but versus I'm going to run away from the West like just fleeing. Changing that mindset. The reason I'm listing multiple points here is just because for some people, some of them will resonate more than others. So inshallah, some of these do resonate with you and they can help you. Spend a month living. The reason I put it in capitals is living, not go to do Umrah where you're traveling and you're just spending a few nights there and you're staying like a tourist. Not going to a place like Morocco, staying in a hotel like it's a holiday. Not coming to Indonesia and staying in a hotel in Jakarta where it's not really going to seem, it's just not getting the general gist. I mean, actually coming and living, like booking Airbnb in a more residential area. Ideally, you're going to live in like a townhouse, something like this, not apartments, literally just staying in like a proper place where you would actually live. And there's loads of these on Airbnb in a Muslim majority country for a month, minimum 1 month. Just try and live as normal. Try and literally live as normal. And then go back to the West and see if you can stand it. See if you can literally put up with it. Because for many people, they do this and then they go back and they've got the why now. They don't want to stay. They can't stay. And then they've shifted from should I make hijrah to how can I make hijrah? This can be a big one. So it's not expensive to go and spend a month living in a Muslim country. You can take it off work. You can do whatever to spend a month there in a way where it's not touristy, where it's actually how you would live. And inshallah, that can spark the fire. Make dua to Allah to grant you clarity around making hijrah, to grant you ease, to grant you tawakkul, to make the move. Make dua for this literally every single day. Because you know you want it, but maybe you just don't have that clarity. You don't have the ease, which only Allah can provide. Only Allah can do this. Watch videos as well. This is big. Watch videos of other brothers that successfully made hijrah. So alhamdulillah, there's a bunch of podcasts and stuff where there's one called Make Hijrah. That's a really good YouTube channel where they interview people that made hijrah. Abu Bakr as well, who is part of the Cave podcast, is very, very good. He makes good hijrah content. Abdullah, the person in Lombok, many people know of him. There's loads of people talking about hijrah. Just watch as much of that content as possible and you're going to get that motivation. Next, tawakkul, because motivation is good, but tawakkul is far better. So everyone knows the hadith. Basically, everyone knows the hadith. Tie your camel and trust in Allah. So people sometimes use this as a means not to make hijrah. They're thinking they've not tied their camel enough. Or people, they use this as motivation to make hijrah. Now, is tying your camel and trusting in Allah? I'm just going to be speaking based off my Islamic studies where we learned about the topic of tawakkul. I'm not a scholar, I'm not a person of knowledge, but I'm just going to be sharing what I did learn in my Islamic studies from the sheikhs. So is tying your camel and trusting in Allah, is tawakkul, having a perfect remote income already set up, lifetime of savings, everything making logical sense. Is that what it is? Or is it doing the research, putting in the actions, and then putting your trust in Allah for the outcome? It is going to be the second one. So, yeah, what I was learning is that we should take the means and rely on Allah. We don't rely on the means. Now, this actually hit very hard for me. Is don't rely on the means. Don't rely on your job. Don't rely on your boss, because you could lose that job today. Even if you're comfortable in the West right now, you could lose that today. And we don't rely on the means. We don't rely on this stable job. We don't rely on this economy of the West. We don't rely on the Western governments to bail us out or whatever. We don't rely on the NHS like many do in the UK. We don't rely on there's free education in the UK, etc. We rely on Allah. We take the means. Okay, we can take these things. We can take the job. We can take this stuff, but we don't rely on those. We don't put our hope and our trust in those. We take the means and we rely on Allah. So what are the means in terms of making hijrah? It's going to be doing things like researching about the business, which I'm going to talk about in the solution section. It's going to be things like taking the business, trying to set it up, doing things like this, applying for the jobs, etc., and then trusting in Allah. Now, I'll share a hadith, which inshallah can be beneficial to you. It is, if you were to rely upon Allah, many probably know this, but it's a good reminder always, if you were to rely upon Allah with due reliance, He would provide for you as He provides for the birds. They go out hungry in the morning and they return with full bellies in the evening. SubhanAllah. I find that to be so powerful, and just reflecting on the birds genuinely, and just, and to be honest, most animals, subhanAllah, it's very powerful because they go out, they're not eating. Like, subhanAllah, these animals have insane tawakkul. Like, I was joking about it the other day about there's cats, they go around, they don't have a fridge at home with a bunch of food for the days and for the weeks. They don't have whatever, all this job. They don't do all this stuff. They just go out and they, like, obviously, I know they're not conscious and stuff, but like, that's the level of tawakkul that is due of us, is to know that Allah is going to provide for us, to go out, even if we're going out hungry, even if we're flying over to a Muslim majority country without a job already set up, etc. But what's Allah going to do? We're not going to just die. What are we going to do? Are we just going to die and live on the streets? It's not going to happen. Inshallah. Solutions. So yeah, again, watch success stories of brothers who made hijrah work. This is very big because then it makes it more tangible in our brain. We can see, okay, this brother did this. That makes sense. Learn about Allah. And this is always a good thing, regardless of what endeavor. But learning about Allah, what tawakkul means, learning what does this mean. And the Sahaba, there's many of the Sahaba, they made hijrah with far, far less than we're trying to make it with, and it's very, very, very motivational. It's very, very actionable as well. Make a plan. Like, obviously, it's not about just going book the flights with nothing. Still make a plan and act on it to the best of your abilities. Like when the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and Abu Bakr, they left Mecca. Did the Prophet just go and walk in a random direction and do whatever he feels like? No, he planned it very, very strategically. They took a specific route to Medina. They took a very specific route where they diverted and they acted upon it. And then they trusted in Allah. They was in the cave and they trusted in Allah. It was in the cave when the Quraysh were chasing them, and they trusted in Allah, but they'd made the plan and they'd acted on it. So it's not either or, it's both. It's make the plan and then act on it, and then trust in Allah, because the outcomes aren't with us. The outcomes are not with the Western economy, with the job, or any of this stuff. We rely on Allah, only on Allah. So make the plan and act on it. So think logically, what skills do you have? How could you make this work? Typically financially is how most people struggle with it. How can you logically make this work? Make a plan for that and then act on it. Act on what you know you need to do, because most people know what to do. They just don't do it. So it's about figuring out how to make yourself do the actions, rather than, because knowledge generally isn't the constraint. It's more, you know what to do, but you just don't know how to make yourself do it. So yeah, make a plan, act on it to the best of your ability. And yeah, for anyone, like, this is some very actionable stuff. For anyone that wants to make a business, there's no affiliation to this. It's just because it's genuinely benefited me so much, this knowledge, is For anyone wanting to make a business, whether this is a physical business, whether this is online consulting, anything like this, these books are absolutely incredible. It is $100 million Offers by Alex Hormozi and also his $100 million Leads book. They're absolutely phenomenal. The knowledge that you're going to get in this is going to be all that you need to know to make a good offer. Whether that's literally you're going to be selling niqabs, you're going to be selling clothes, whether you're going to be selling food, whether you're going to be selling £3,000 consulting, whether you're going to be whatever, literally everything is within this. And yeah, it's going to tell you everything you need to know about crafting an offer, about knowing what am I actually going to deliver, what am I going to help them with, how do I figure out what skills I have that I could monetize, anything like this. It's going to tell you all of it. And it takes literally like maybe 4 hours to read the book. And it's free to listen to the audiobook as well. $100 million Leads is everything to do with marketing, everything to do with how do we get people to know what we're offering. So we've got our offer now. How do we get people to know what we're offering? So he gives 4, it summarizes into 4, and he tells you exactly how to do each of the 4. So number 1 being warm outreach. So people you already know, people in your phone, people on your Instagram, people on your Facebook, whatever it is, everyone that you already know, you're going to reach out to those and offer them your products. But you're not going to offer them your products. You're going to ask them if they know anyone that might be interested in your offer. So not only are you getting potentially they say they're interested, they're also going to say all the people they know that might be interested, and you already know them. So there's going to be a high chance they're going to reply, high chance they're going to try and help you out. And yeah, that's number 1, warm outreach, which probably can get many people to a very good level of income for certain businesses. Number 2 is going to be cold outreach. So you're going to be cold outreaching to people who might be interested in your offer. He tells you exactly how to do that. Number 3, content like this. He tells you how to do that. And number 4, paid ads, which generally once you've got a proven offer. So it tells you literally everything on that, what you would need to do to set up a business. So inshallah, that can be beneficial to you. Just search $100 million offers or leads. They're extremely cheap because he's basically tried to make it like a free lead magnet to his higher paid services, which his higher paid services is only once you're earning, I believe, like over 3 million revenue per year. So his goal was to help you get to that. The brother Alex Hormozi, make dua that he becomes Muslim as well. He's not Muslim yet, but inshallah he will be. And inshallah those books can be very, very beneficial to you if you're not knowing how do I actually make the money? How do I make the plan? How do I act on the plan? And then inshallah you have the tawakkul in Allah to make the hijrah. Now, another actionable step that you can do is save up 12K if you don't already have it. Many of you probably already have the 12K savings. Fly to either Indonesia, Malaysia, or Egypt, whichever makes more sense to you. You now have a year's worth of expenses covered in the Muslim country. So you're not now working a job. You've literally got all day, every day to work on that plan which you made in the previous step. And then, is it realistic that, because you can live in these Muslim majority countries easily and very, very well on $1,000 per month, and I put at the bottom, you can still do this with a wife and kids. You can live in these places literally with a wife and kids on a K per month. And if you're yourself, you can literally live on like $500 a month easily. So do you not think it's realistically that within 1 year, you're going to be able to make at least $1,000 online? Like, even logically, that it's very logical. You're going to be able to get to the point of making $1,000 per month online within a year. You've literally had a whole year. You're not working a job, so you can put all day into it. Is it likely that you're going to be able to make it work and pull it off? Inshallah, it's very, very doable. Inshallah, it's very doable. So, what's the worst case? You're just going to go back after the year anyway. So, inshallah, those things have given you some actionable steps. Inshallah, you've watched those and then you've thought, okay, I can do that. I'm going to do that now. Some final actionable steps. Pray Tahajjud every single night. If you actually want it, pray Tahajjud every single night. Even if that just means waking up like 15 minutes before Fajr prayer and then praying Tahajjud. Make dua for Allah to give you a firm enough why. Make dua loads for Allah to make your why strong enough to have the tawakkul in Allah as it's supposed to be, proper tawakkul. Make dua for Allah to grant you that and to open up the doors for you and for it to all be easy. So yeah, may Allah make it easy for any of the brothers that are struggling to commit to hijrah. And if you've been watching this video and you're actually already financially ready and you would like to marry in Indonesia, then you can go to the link in the description. Inshallah, I can help you get married. Also, if you want to make hijrah, I can help you with that as well. So if you want to do that, I will see you there. Inshallah, the video has been beneficial regardless. So yeah, assalamu alaikum.